My kid exposed my wife's affair. I had to go to work unexpectedly on a Sunday. Spouse suddenly announced that she had plans with friends to go to a big city about 100 miles away and had expected me to do the childcare. I went to work. Spouse took our 3-year-old and walked away from home as she refused to obtain a license until after we separated and was forced to do so by her boss. She was missing for quite a while. A search of all the likely places she would be turned up nothing. I found her would-be alibis, but she was nowhere to be found. She sent an "I'm okay" text just as a policeman had arrived to take a missing persons report, so the policeman left. However, she did not say anything else. Later, she asked for a pickup from a grocery store. She said that she had been shopping for 45 minutes, but her shopping cart wasn't very full. Our kid was eating a warm cheeseburger. She said that she had walked there to get it, but it was implausibly far away. I called her out on this, so she said that one of her alibis had driven her, but I had talked to her alibi and she hadn't been with her. The next day, my phone asked for a review of a hotel that I'd never been to. She had logged into my phone many months ago, and although she had subsequently changed her password, Google Maps still sent push notifications without validating the password. So I asked my kid for details. She explained about a guy named John in a white car, the hotel room, and imitated the noises that mommy made with him. The noises, turns out that my kid was using the Android phone while they ducked and its GPS picked up the location. I started to scrape information off of all of my wife's devices and put together over 6,000 pages of text messages between her and the 4 men that she was cheating on me with. And she was cheating on them too. Meanwhile, that whole time, she was berating me for being lazy even though I was a student, a full-time employee in a physically demanding occupation, and taking care of nearly all childcare responsibilities. I have other grievances. I like to think of myself as a pretty forgiving person and that I had forgiven a lot up to that point, but that right there was the end of our marriage. My wife slept with her ex after my stepson passed. I was just a money box to pay for her son's illness. My wife and I have been together for 5 years. My stepson, 12, had been battling illness for almost his entire life and recently lost his fight. I loved him from the moment I met him and it feels like my world is falling apart. With the costs the last few months of his life adding up, I had taken on more hours at work to provide for his needs as well as pay for therapy both for my wife and I to learn how to remain a unit and support each other during this time as well as individually. My stepson's biological father didn't often see his son, nor does he generally get along with my wife, mostly just coming whenever he felt like it and taking him out for a few hours. I disagreed with this, but my stepson loved his father and it wasn't my place to try to separate them, so I did my best to just be a good parental figure to him as well. He attended the service and seemed heartbroken. My wife spent a lot of the service with him and they consoled each other, which I do understand the shared connection as parents, but it hurt as I'm also struggling greatly and felt like a parent to him as well. I had planned to discuss it with her after the dust cleared, because I wasn't going to prioritize my feelings at such a time. That chance never came, because a few days after the service my wife had told me her ex wanted to meet up with her to discuss their son's belongings, photo albums, etc. Naturally, I had no problem with that, as I had already kept the things that were sentimental to me. Long story short, my wife came back in tears and confessed that while at his place, they slept together and it wasn't planned and begged forgiveness. I already know I have to leave. My mental health is hanging on by a thread, and the loss of both a child I considered a son and a betrayal by the only person I had to lean on is too much. But I also know that grief makes people do stupid things, and everyone handles things their own way. If I'm in this much pain, I don't know how she copes with how much pain she's in. I know she didn't intend to hurt me, and that she's a good person who was hurting and looking for comfort, so while I know myself enough to know for my own sanity I can't stay in this marriage, I love her enough to want to be a friend and continue to support her emotionally. My question is, people who have left their spouse, especially during difficult times, and remained friends, how did you do it? What steps did you take to end the romantic relationship with no bad blood and transition into a different type of relationship with them? She's extremely vulnerable and feels completely alone. How do I leave someone in that position and tell them I want a divorce while still making it clear I care for them and am willing to be a friend in their time of need? Lastly, if any of you have ever lost a child, how did you start to heal? Comment 1. Grief didn't make her wet. Grief didn't make her ignore the man that practically raised her son so she could give attention to a man that neglected her son at her son's funeral. Grief didn't make her go to his house and exclude you. I'm sorry, bud, she did it because she wanted to. She had a choice. Comment 2. I kinda disagree. I'm not saying that she did nothing wrong, or that OP should stay with her, but the death of a child is a whole other level of loss. I think it's fairly natural to seek comfort in the arms of the person you made that child with, and you're not going to be in your right mind after losing a child. Again, not saying what she did was okay at all, but I also think grief didn't make her wet is both genuinely wrong and also incredibly insensitive. Comment 3. Not really, I don't understand why y'all want him to be mistreated like that. He was taking care of the kid. He paid for the medical cost. Hell, he was there for the wife while the kid was sick. There is no reason for her to cheat on him after everything he has done. I am tired of this women can't do no wrong attitude. If he went and ducked some chick when his wife needed him most, y'all would crucify the guy. Is there more to the situation? Yes, but that's no excuse to literally duck over the guy who was actually there through the hard crap. What about him? You or the cheating wife don't think he's grieving as well? Telling him to leave her is to look out for his feelings in the situation, 'cause obviously you, the cheating wife or the scum she ducked, doesn't. Wife of 7 years cheated on me, so I hired a private investigator. I met my wife 10 years ago, we both were in college, dated for 3 years, and married for 7. She is beautiful and amazing person, and everyone in my family loves her. 4 months ago, I found out my wife was having an affair with a mutual friend of ours. It was a 1.5-month affair. She was acting very shady at that time. She would ignore my messages, turn me down every time I tried to initiate closeness. I thought something was wrong. I did snooping, but found nothing. Eventually I hired a private investigator. Within 1 week I got proofs. She was having an affair with our mutual friend. I immediately confronted her. She confessed having an affair. Immediately she started crying, begging. Basically, all classic cheater moves when they are caught. I asked her for all details, with detailed timeline. At night gave me everything. Basically she was using another phone for having an affair. She told me she had closeness with him only for time and rest of time they were just hanging out and having fun. 3 days later, more crying and talking crap about herself. She told me that she had deleted all contracts with him and do whatever it takes to make our marriage work. She suggested MC. I denied, told her to leave me alone. I was hurt, betrayed, humiliated. She moved out to her parents. She started texting me every hour how much she loves me and how she regrets this and will do anything to save our marriage. After completely ignoring her for 2 days, I texted her that we are getting divorced. She freaked out and started having emotions breakdown. My phone started blowing up with her parents, sister, friends telling me not to end marriage and at least give her a chance. Later that day she made a long post on FB explaining how she screwed up and how she has destroyed her marriage, basically admitting her affair publicly. But I was rock solid on my decision. She even insisted to have a lie detector test to clear my doubts, that she never cheated in the past. Blah blah blah. I asked her for some time alone to process all this. We have been living separate since. This was all 4 months ago. Last week I asked her for divorce and she started crying, begging for another chance. After that she visited my parents and asked them to convince me not to divorce. Last night my parents and her parents tried to convince me to work things out. And after she made her FB post, almost all of our mutual friends were telling me how she was brave to admit her affair and that she loves me and I should at least give her a chance. I'm on an edge of having a breakdown. She is truly remorseful and regrets this, I can assure you this. I do love her and her cheating on me hurts the most. I don't know what to do. Anyone who is reconciled, how are things going on? Edit. We don't have kids. We were planning to have kids after this pandemic was over. We both own a business and we work together. I haven't talked to her in almost 3 months, only business-related stuff. Here's the update. After reading all your comment and PMs, I decided, talk to my parents. I called and told them that I was going for divorce. After an hour later, she called me crying, not to end it, and told me to at least meet her in person. Since the day, I haven't seen her or talked about affair. Every time I talked, I ignored the talk about affair. She told me she'll explain everything, at least hear her side of story, and after hearing it, whatever decision I'll take, she'll respect that. Since I don't know what was going on and don't have much information about the affair, it will be like closure to me, so I've decided to meet her on Sunday. That's it, nothing dramatic. Update. As decided, we both met on Sunday. She was quite miserable. I haven't seen her in a while. We talked about our relationship. I asked her to take down her FB post, which she did. I asked her about the affair. Why she cheated on me. She told me that she was dumb and selfish at that time. She didn't blame me for affair. She told me that they were casually talking and he started talking about his affairs. She showed me text messages of them both, where he was bragging about his fun life outside of marriage. She told me she was curious and one thing led to another. There were several texts where he was guiding my wife how to hide affair. He suggested her to buy another phone and always keep it in car. I took screenshots of everything. She then asked her for forgiveness. I forgave her, but I couldn't get past this. Divorce was my default option from beginning. She begged to try marriage counseling. She told me she will never date anyone else ever again. If she does, it would be me. I don't really care. We will still work together, as this was our both dream project. As for our mutual friend, last I heard was his wife and he decided to reconcile, as kids were involved. I really feel sad for his wife. She didn't know what kind of monster he is. We are getting divorced. I've decided not to be in a relationship ever again. Update. Everything in my life is falling apart now. 3 days later, I told her my decision. She drank fennel. Fortunately, she was saved and still in recovery. I'm visiting her every day, checking up on her. I really feel bad and very, very guilty. We've decided to reconcile and work on marriage. After a month, she would be fully recovered. And I've to move out of country to start a new life there. In this 2 weeks, I've been called heartless bastard by everyone in our friend circle. The only few people who stood by me in this were my 2 best friends. I'm so grateful to have them. My parents were very angry because I drove her to committing ending. I also found out both my parents were cheaters. First, it was my dad who cheated on my mom. After that, my mom's seek for an revenge affair. That explains a lot why they were supporting my wife. I love my wife and I can't watch her hurting herself. I thought this divorce would be a new chapter of our lives and we can move on. But things didn't work out as I've thought. She still wants our marriage and wants to be with me. When I posted on this surf for first time, you guys supported me a lot and helped me.